we met up after practice and talked. I said, "Oh no, I could talk your ear off. She is such an incredible young lady."
She is, yes, I agree.
I asked Natalie the same thing. Especially with an incredible journey like she's had. Is it sinking in now that they're actually physically on their way to Tokyo?
Yeah, she says she wakes up every morning and she has to pinch herself. But yeah, she is really ready for this to happen because she's wanted it all of her life. So yeah, she's ready.
What are your earliest memories of Natalie in the pool?
Well, when I was pregnant with Natalie, I was swimming. When her umbilical cord dropped off, she was in the water. So she has grown up in the water. When she took her first class, which was a splash class at a facility that is called COM in Midland, Texas, where she was born and grew up. They're a pretty competitive group, and so she was in the splash class. And even back then, this you're talking about 5, 6 years old, she was extremely competitive. She didn't want to lose to anybody. She wanted to be the first one in the water. It was hard for the teachers to teach everybody because she would sit on the side of the pool and then all of a sudden she'd hop in. So she's always been a go-getter.
I read a story that she announced to her dad, "You're not going to have to pay for my college because I'm going
Yeah.
to be a swimmer." Will you tell me that story? I thought that was incredible.
Yeah, I think she was in junior high, maybe elementary school. But she came home one time and she says to dad, she says, I'm going to the Olympics and I'm going to be independent and you're not going to have to worry about anything once I make it. So that was way back when.
Foresight, and then here
Yeah.
she is going to the Olympics, but the journey from then to now is really important because it wasn't always going her way. She talks about the trials in 2016 and what a low point that was.
Yeah, she really had a time of it in 2016. Her senior year was not what she wanted. Sure, she was not doing well at all, and she wasn't carrying good weight, and her mental outlook was pretty, you know, um, dismal at that point. And so when she went to the Olympics, she didn't do what she thought she could do. So she decided that she had had enough, and so that's when she quit for 2 years, and decided that she was going to live like normal people and get a job and do all that. Um, and then when she was in the job market, she got a job with Turner, and she enjoyed that for a while. And then she decided that she missed swimming because she was, watching her former colleagues still performing in the pool, and they looked like they were having so much fun, and she was not in there with them, and she was missing it. And so she really just decided that she was going to go back and get into swimming and really make a concerted effort to make it to the Olympics. So to her credit, it really was her determination. I mean, she had a lot of support from everybody around her, but when it comes down to it, it's all about what you decide to do and what you can muster to get it done, and she did it.
As a mom watching this play out, first her deciding to step back, how challenging was that as her parent to see her go through those ups and downs?
Hold on.
No worries.
It's Natalie calling. Can I
Oh yeah, answer
disturb
it.
this?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hey, Natalie. Hey, I'm on a Zoom call.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yo, that's all right. Can you call me back and or I'll call you or let you know?
Yeah, just call me back. I'm gonna be back.
Okay, all righty.
All
Bye
right.
bye. It doesn't look like they're on the plane yet.
Oh, not yet. All right, tell her we say hi. We're excited. We're excited.
Okay.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
just thinking, we talked about it on the phone. I have 4 kids, and sometimes it's harder to be the onlooker, and you see what they're going through. Describe that time for you when she decided, I'm just gonna. She said, I didn't retire, I just kind of faded off.
Well, that senior year, and 2016 was really a heartbreaker for both of us, for her parents, because she has so much potential, but I don't think she was in the mental frame to get it done. And in retrospect, she did the right thing, which was to get out of it, and then she could develop a new perspective on what it was that she really wanted to do. But it was definitely difficult for me because I hated to see her not reach her goal that she had wanted to reach all of her life. And I knew that she had the physical ability to do it, but mentally she just was not there. So, we supported her decision to give it up for a while. I didn't think she'd come back to it. I really didn't. And I was very surprised she did. But no matter what her decision was, I supported her, because that's a really hard road to go down, when your whole life is spent doing one thing, and when it comes down to it, you don't reach your goal when you think you should reach your goal. So, yeah.
Boy, that must have made watching this comeback all the sweeter. My gosh.
Oh gosh, you just don't know. It was such a nice moment. I mean, just if nothing else happens, the fact that she reached her goal is all you can ever ask for.
I mean, that gave me chills. I think we were talking, and she said, I'm working on my comeback. I guess I'm still working on it. I said, no. When you check that I made the Olympics, you check that comeback is complete. And then whatever else, I guess, is icing on the cake. But I mean, it gave me chills.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't tell her enough that we are just so proud of the fact that her determination, her conviction, her steadfastness paid off in the long run. And you can't say that, not a lot of people could say that. There were very few people who go to the Olympics when you consider how many try to get there. So she is to be commended big time.
There's no doubt. There's so many ways that I feel Natalie's story will really speak deeply to people so far beyond sport. One is, her being able to say, like, hey, 2 years ago, I was in a totally different place. If I can fight my way back to pursue a dream I thought might have been over, you can too, for whatever that dream is for you or an aspiration you have. And then I know we talked a lot, Natalie and I did, about how much she feels a responsibility, and even the timing of her representing, being only the 4th Black swimmer for Team USA, and how significant that is for more representation in this sport.
Well, it's really funny because when she got 3rd in the NCAA, and it was three Black girls, Leah Neal got 2nd and Simone got 1st. And it was like at that point, they did not really appreciate the significance of what they had achieved. And it wasn't until later, in the case of Natalie, that she looked at it and said, boy, that's something to be said, that there were 3 Black women who got 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in the NCAA. And I think as she's gotten older and been exposed to more in terms of what the diversity or lack of diversity in certain sports, she's really gotten an appreciation for what her possible role is in trying to increase the diversity, especially in swimming, And she's a born leader. She really likes to work with kids. In fact, she works with LEADS, which is a program that tries to spawn leadership in young people. So she works with them also. But she really has a really nice platform to help with increasing diversity in swimming, helping with increasing leadership in all kids, not just minorities, but all kids, and trying to foster the fact that the more diverse groups are, the better off those groups are in terms of their outcomes and how they look at the world and things like that.
When she was a child swimming and through school, do you remember ever having conversations about noticing a lack of diversity? What was her experience in those early years?
Well, she grew up in a community that is not really mixed. I mean, there's, it's like most communities in the United States. They have the minorities on one side of the track and the white folks on the other side of the track. And so in her swimming, she was really the only Black person that there were maybe a couple of Spanish in there. But for the most part, she was it. So she has basically, and even in school, there wasn't a large percentage of minorities in the schools she went to. So she's not, well, she's grown up having not a lot of exposure to a lot of different diverse people, although we really, in terms of our travel and things like that, we always wanted to expose our kids to everything. So she has an appreciation for it, but she really grew up in a white environment, when she was little. But, I did too. So I understand what she would go through being in that environment. And so, like I said, her father and I really made it a point to expose our kids to a lot of different cultures and things like that.
She had said, my hope is that this next generation will see a lot more of themselves reflected in their, community swim teams, school swim teams, et cetera, and
she made a statement that I really liked. And that was, it's not enough to put kids in the water. If you want them to compete, you've got to put them with teams that are competitive. And a lot of the clubs that are Black clubs, they are minority driven clubs, they do not have the resources or the types of coaching that makes them competitive in the big arenas. And that's one of the things she said that she really wants to see change, is that not only are there more kids in the water, but they're in an environment that's going to nurture their abilities.
I believe she's going to be a significant part of that change.
Oh yeah, I hope so.
Do you picture this moment where you're watching your daughter on a big screen, competing on a world stage like this and reaching her dream? I mean, is that something you can even put into words?
I can put into tears. I mean, I guess the thing that I hold dear to my heart is the fact that Natalie has worked all of her life for where she is now. And that's what I hold on to. And to see her on a big screen doing what she has worked for all of her life is the best, the absolute best. No. Yeah.
It's amazing. That's gosh, I love that we get to meet you and the families, because I think, she says, my parents were willing to drive me. We were able to do that. I know that's not a reality for some families. The day in, day out, 4:30 a.m. practice. I mean, there's just so much. And I know she did lots of different sports. What was her personality? She's so bubbly and easy to connect with. I just imagine she must have been such a fun little girl.
She is we used to call her Pistol, Pistol Pete. She had always, since she was born, she's always been a very gregarious individual. She is a natural born athlete. She takes after her dad. It doesn't matter what she's doing. She can pick it up in no time and excel at it. So we didn't want her to do multiple sports because that was just too much on those little bodies and things. So she could experiment with certain sports, but she had to eventually choose one that she really wanted to do. And it was always swimming, because she started off with swimming. She went to track, she went to basketball, but the whole time she's doing the other ones, she's still swimming. And she decided that was the one that she loved the most. So that's how she got into it and kept going. She was a swimmer too. And one of, this is how competitive Natalie is. One of her goals was to beat her sister. Now her sister's almost 5 years older than she is, but her goal was to beat her. And there was a race that they had. It was so funny. We were so busy watching the race, we didn't realize that both daughters were in it. until it was almost done. And I was not filming. And so we don't even have that on film, but Natalie almost beat her in that race, you know, so that was one of her incentives, was to beat her sister.
Boy, that competitive nature is serving her very well right now. There's no
Yes,
doubt
it is.
about it. That's great. Now, I also read that there was a time she was at swim practice and the coach had her try butterfly, and the first time she did it, it was basically perfect, and people were like, "Wait a second, this young
Yeah,
lady, something
absolutely.
special."
I mean, I was sitting on the sideline, sitting on sidelines watching her, and this was when they were learning the four strokes. And so the teacher showed them how to do it, you know, and she was like maybe the third or fourth kid that got in the water, and she just did it perfectly. And it was so funny because all the people in the stands who were watching, they were like, "Wow," you know. But she had it down pat. I mean, she really did. Her timing was just, I mean, it was, you could tell she was just a natural at it. And that was her signature stroke for a long time, until she got to UF, and then they didn't need a flyer. They needed freestylers, and so though freestyle and fly were her two best, and so they concentrated on the free, and that's why she does free now.
How old would she have been when that happened with all the strokes she was learning, do you think?
Let's see, that was, I think she was about 6 or 7 years old.
Wow. My youngest is just about ready to turn 6, so that's a really good visual for me. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that size. Wow, that's amazing.
Okay.
I really appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
You are welcome.